Minecraft's Mounts of Mayhem update has officially been out for a week, and last time I was here I took out the Ender Dragon using only the spear. This time though, I'm gonna be hunting down the remaining strongest enemies, the Wither and the Warden. So let's get into it. Now that I was back from the end with a ton of levels from killing the dragon, the first thing I wanted to do was make a good pickaxe alongside a mostly maxed out spear. And after accidentally wasting all my diamonds, I did do so. This of course did come at the cost of most, if not all of my levels for future enchanting. Because I had already made my spear into a netherite spear, I had to use the ancient debris I gathered last time to upgrade the new spear into one as well. But because I had wasted all of my diamonds not even a minute ago, I had to gather more so that I would not use my last template. But once that was done, the netherite spear was made and combined with my other one, alongside repairing the elytra so that I could head back to the village that I started at. The reason I came back to this village was because the first thing I needed to do before I could really set off on the exploration was that I needed to get a mending book for the elytra, or else it would be a very, very annoying trip, having to constantly stop and repair it with phantom membrane. And once I got a villager properly placed in a hole for safekeeping, I had to break a lectern for roughly 5 minutes total, until he finally gave me mending for an expensive price. But I wasn't one to complain, so I started mining trees and houses so that I could trade sticks for emeralds so that I could pick up mending for the elytra. And after trading with 2 different Fletchers across 2 different days, I then had enough emeralds to pick up my first mending book. Unfortunately, I left my anvil at the stronghold, so I had to make a quick pit stop to mine up iron using my new pickaxe so that I could make an anvil. But once that was done and the anvil was made, I then added mending to the elytra and then flew back to the village so that I could pick up another book while mending my elytra through trading. The second book would of course be for my spear, as if it broke, that would be quite problematic for the rest of the run since I've kind of put all my eggs in one basket. Do that, and then we put mending, and the most important thing is, due to the number of comments calling it a toothpick, I decided that it should in fact be named Toothpick because you guys are correct. It is one. The next thing I wanted to do was fly out and find another village. This was so that I could get an unbreaking book for the elytra as it still broke very quick, but I would also like a looting book for my spear as getting wither skeleton skulls without looting didn't sound like a fun time at all. And so with a little bit of travel, I ended up finding one pretty quick. Hi donkey, bye donkey. Ignoring that, I boxed up another villager and started resetting them in hopes of getting an unbreaking book, but looting came first. Too bad that after I used all my levels on mending, I was too broke to actually put the looting on the spear, so we'll get to that later. And so I went to another villager this time to get the unbreaking book, but he just would not stay in a hole, so it was kind of annoying. More boring, uneventful villager resetting later, I got an unbreaking 1 book, which I wasn't happy about, but given that it took 10 minutes to get, I just decided to leave and take it. I'll take it, I don't care anymore. What I did not realize was not covering the hole was actually a huge mistake, because when I went back to trade for the unbreaking book, the villager was gone. Are you kidding me? That's so stupid. Minor setback aside, I took flight again. And after locating another village because I couldn't find any jobless villagers in the old one, with a now almost completely broken elytra, I put another villager in a hole before finally getting my hands on an unbreaking book, and at least this time it was unbreaking 2. At least I had a good reaction to getting the book as well. Oh my god. Thank you. 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 This time around, I didn't forget my anvil, so I was able to put it on the elytra immediately, before starting repairing it. And once it was repaired, I decided to go to the desert I saw on the way to the village, so that when nighttime came, I would be able to gather gunpowder and the levels needed to put the looting book onto my spear. This would also be the first time I was using the spear for combat since beating the Ender Dragon, and let it just be said, it still feels just as good to use, especially when paired with the elytra for mobility and speed. We can clear up 1 inventory slot. With looting finally on the spear, it was time to head over to the ruined portal I noticed was nearby so that I could head into the nether to start gathering the wither skeleton skulls. Too bad I went the wrong way at first, so I wasted a couple of rockets, but I still found it in the end. 1 quick portal repair later, I was able to enter the nether, and because I spawned right next to a bastion, I figured I might as well check out the loot. And of course, there was more ancient debris because I just couldn't stop finding it for some reason. Not that I'm complaining, of course. The search for the fortress didn't take too long either, locating it relatively quickly. What I did not anticipate though, was when good luck runs out, the bad luck really sets in. Because oh man, could I not tell you how long this grind for the wither skeleton skulls actually took. Because despite seeing plenty, the drops were non-existent. Wow, okay, that's a lot. That's a lot, hang on, I don't like this anymore. The first drop finally happened after around 20 minutes of being in the fortress. At that point, I needed to repair my armor desperately bad, so I did that as well. From there, around 15 minutes later, I then saw that I got a second skull. Really? Oh, okay, I got another one at some point. Though after that second skull, around 30 minutes passed and I still didn't get another, so I checked my stats. I've killed 118. until I finally got the last one. Finally! Oh my god. Oh my god. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But before leaving, I grabbed some soul sand so that I could actually spawn the wither, and then I left. And after assembling the escape portal, I really just had one request in mind, which was, don't put me in a cave. Dang it. Spawning in the cave wasn't actually the end of the world since I took the time to re-gear, repair my armor, and get more gunpowder so I could actually fly back. I noticed a skeleton horse that didn't actually spawn the trap, which made me think that I was near the stronghold where I left the enchantment table. Like, the stronghold should be right here. And with one quick trip down, dumping some of the crap from my inventory, I picked up the enchantment table before heading back up. Get in the bundle. Once I was out, it occurred to me that I should get some obsidian so that I could make an ender chest, since inventory management was really a problem that I still hadn't solved despite having a bundle. And so after getting 8 obsidian from a ruined portal, then I continued my way back to the village. And once I got back, I made the ender chest so that I could finally have some free space in my inventory and give you at home some peace of mind. After placing the ender chest down and making a normal chest to do some much overdue inventory sorting and clearing, I then moved to the next stage of my plan, where I would be using a cartographer to get a Woodland Mansion Explorer map. Of course, to do this, the best way to get emeralds at the current minute was to just cut down more trees, so I did that for a bit until my axe was almost broken. And after making the last trade necessary to level up the cartographer, he then started offering emeralds for glass, and so after ethically sourcing some cobblestone, I made some furnaces, and then with my shovel that I've had, it was time to start clearing out the beach for sand. And while I take care of that, I'd like to take a moment of your time to ask if you would consider subscribing. Last time I said that 100 would be cool, but that was passed so quickly. And so now, I think I'm going to try and shoot for the stars to see if maybe 5k is possible by the end of the year. But anyways, let's get back to the main plot. Afterwards, I reset up the enchantment table to upgrade the tools I had been holding onto before collecting my glass. After trading with the cartographer, I then made more furnaces so I could smelt quicker. Unfortunately, a creeper had other plans. It really broke all of the furnaces I just placed? Come on. Since I still needed time for the villager to restock and the glass to smelt, I decided to go back down to get more diamonds since my gear was really needing repairs, especially my tools. Fortunately, I landed in a pretty big cave where getting diamonds was effortless and fast. And so, after mining a bunch, I went back to the surface to check back with the villager so that I could finally get him to max level. And after making some final trades with him, I then used my newfound diamonds to repair all of my armor since it was probably one bad encounter away from breaking. With everything fixed up, I then went over to the cartographer's house where I knew a compass was waiting for me so that I could pick up the maps, alongside making another one so I could make 2 trades. Now, initially I didn't plan on going to a trial chamber, but this one comment asked me to, so I figured I might as well give it a try, though I don't know what I was going to get down there. But alongside that, I picked up the Woodland Explorer map and checked out where they both were going to take me to, since it was about time to get going. The mansion looked like it was pretty far out from where I currently was, but conveniently the trial chamber was literally right next to the village, so it didn't seem like it was going to be too much of a chore going there. But before heading to either, I decided to fly out and look for a pillager outpost, as if I could get ominous bottles, it would make looting the trial chamber all the more interesting while also making it a bit more difficult. On the way out though, I noticed a giant mountain with a huge opening and a big open area inside, and so being naturally curious, I went around to check it out since if I could find a deep dark early, it would make the end game much easier to prepare for. And fortunately there was one inside, so I marked down the coordinates since I would be coming back here later. Not too much longer after that, I ended up finding the pillager outpost I was looking for before making quick work of the raid captain and then picking up the ominous bottle that he dropped. But I went to leave and then I realized that I could actually use another bottle to start a raid and get totems that way instead of having to go to the Woodland Mansion wasting gunpowder and fireworks. So I did that instead. After that though, I took my leave. When I was flying back, I decided to look around for villages, and when one caught my eye, I decided to do the raid there instead of at my home base risking the villagers that I had already leveled. Okay. Is now a good time to mention I've never done a raid solo? Despite my concern, I took to the sky because now that the raid had begun, there wasn't really a reason to turn back now since I couldn't get the bottle back. The first wave was super easy since they didn't really fire back and one charge attack just kind of pushed them all around to the water to where they could easily be picked off one by one. The second wave of them went about the same, where they just really didn't stand a chance. It was kind of feeling like I was the one raiding them, not the other way around. Even the Ravager, the mob I was scared of the most, was running away from me, so clearly I was doing something right. No, why are you running? Come back, don't run. And once the Ravager was out of the way, the rest of the wave went down pretty quick as well. To prepare for the next wave, I made sure I had food in my hotbar, and then it began. This time the only difference was that it had witches, and after they landed a slowness potion on me, it still wasn't enough to stop me from one-shotting most of them. Finally though, my ego caught up to me and a Ravager landed a brutal hit on me, doing nearly half my health in one blow. Oh, that was close. However, the damage didn't stop the fact that it two-shot the Ravager. Okay. With the Ravager out of the picture, I noticed that there was also an Evoker in the crowd, and so I targeted him down, knocking him out to be able to pick up my first totem. Thank you. Totem in hand, I finished off the wave, and the next one started where another Evoker was waiting for me. Once the Evoker was down, the rest of the wave fell effortlessly as well. Okay, there's one. The next wave had an Evoker riding a Ravager, which on paper seemed really scary. Unfortunately for him, the spear is very strong, and he died very quickly, alongside the other Ravager, who died just like his friend. After that though, I knocked out the rest of the raid, picked up my 5th totem, and then decided that there was no reason to stick around, so I started heading back to my base village. Once I returned, I did another big inventory dump before getting ready to go to the trial chamber, which I still wasn't really sure what I was going to do down there, so just bear with me. Since it was so close by, I made it there really quick, and once I dug down into it, the first room I encountered was just a bunch of silverfish, which you can already guess how that one went. After that though, I started looking around for a breeze spawner so that I could get breeze rods, before making the trial into an ominous version, where the enemies would be stronger, but the rewards would be better. Of course, then the second spawner would be more silverfish, so after using my spear like a fly swatter for a few minutes, I found myself back in the big room where the breeze spawner was, and so I decided to fight everything in there again, hopefully to pick up some good loot, including an ominous key. But after clearing out their room, I still didn't get a key, and so with a bit more exploring, I ran into another spawner, and after taking everything out from there, I then found myself with my first ominous key. While it would have been cool if I got the heavy core on my first try, that didn't happen, and afterwards I decided to surface since I had gotten the advancement and really didn't have much else to do down there. Using the diamond block I got, I made some long overdue upgrades to my armor, before finally, it was time to set off back to the deep dark biome I had found earlier. After a bit of time, I made it back to the mountain, and after digging down straight into the deep dark biome, it was time to set up for the warden fight. Initially, I planned on fighting the Wither and Warden separately. However, because I was feeling really confident with how I could use the spear to fight, I decided that it would be more fun to do both at the same time. And to do so, I would be using a bubble elevator to lift the Warden to the surface, as fighting it underground would probably be a death sentence. Once I made it to the surface, I noticed that the terrain for fighting was not going to be good, so I spent some time clearing it out and flattening it, just to give myself a better chance at survival. With the terrain flattened, I headed back down so that I could continue working on the bubble elevator. Once I put the ender chest down, I got the kelp out that I had gathered earlier, and started filling the first column all the way to the top with kelp, before digging back down and repeating the process for the second half of the tunnel. With that done, I tested the bubble elevator to make sure it took me all the way to the top perfectly, and then I set up the wither so that when I was being chased by the warden on the way up, I would be able to summon it immediately. Though, there was a small issue that I didn't know. All that was left to do was place signs so that the warden wouldn't be pushed away by the water coming out of the elevator, and then it was time to begin the fight. With the bubble elevator completed, the only thing left to do was summon the warden and bring it to the surface to begin the final fight. To summon it, I made a path to try and guide it to the elevator so that there was no chance that it would go the wrong way and ruin the entire plan. While it was waking up, I waited right by the elevator so that it would come to me. And after using a snowball to get its attention and punching it, I took off in the elevator and it was right behind me. This was it. This was the end. While I was sure it was behind me, I wasn't sure how safe the elevator was, and I'd find out very quickly when it took a free echo blast on me while I couldn't do anything about it. I rushed to the wither to try and put the head on it, but then it didn't spawn, and worst of all, the warden popped one of my totems while I couldn't do anything about it. The only way I could fix it was by luring it down the mountain to give me enough time to figure out why it didn't spawn. When I made it up, I noticed the snow blocks might have been the reason for the issue, so after breaking them and replacing the head, the wither finally spawned. This is where the finale begins. Come on, wither, I need you to wake up. Alright, let's get out of here. Wait, they're fighting. What? Even though they were fighting, they still tried to kill me equally. Yo! Okay, let me put one of those on my offhand. I wanted to make sure that I was the one actually getting the kills on them, so I started to focus on separating the two of them by attacking the wither. And with 2 good blows to the wither, it decided to leave the warden alone for a minute, giving me time to focus it. Even though the 2 of them were separated, I started missing all of my hits, nearly killing me multiple times, and I really didn't want to use more than 2 totems. Oh! That did way too much damage, oh my god! I had to focus as I was burning through food since I didn't have a lot prepared for the fight. While trying to play it safe and stay away from the warden while I was blinded, I ended up flying way too high, and when I tried to come down to attack it, I ended up wasting one of my totems instead. Oh no, oh no, 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 no. After that mishap though, I finished off the warden, leaving only one target left. Let's go! Okay, one down. Where's the wither at? Once I found it, it was time for the showdown, which it seemed to want to take all the way to the sky, and I wasn't one to complain. As I was swapping between rockets and my spear to hit it, it just kept going higher and higher, up until the ground below me was barely visible. How high are you gonna take me? It got to the point where the ground was out of render distance, so it was just me, the wither, and the clouds below, with no certainty on what lied beneath. The damage on me from the wither was starting to add up as my food was running low, but its health was running low as well. Halfway. Just a few more of those. Come on. It's almost dead. Just one more. With my rockets running low, but its health being one hit away, it was now or never. And so I went in for the final blow. Let's go! Oh my god, there's no way I should have won that, honestly. And on the way down, it occurred to me that the challenge was over. The big three of the game had been taken down, and I had emerged victorious from all three of them. So, I guess that's it, huh? If you made it to the end, I just want to say thank you so much for watching all the way through, and until next time, I'll see you then.